You've probably seen the horror film The Exorcism of Emily Rose, right? Well, the most terrifying thing about it is that it's based on a true story. The real-life story of a German girl named Anneliese Michel. Her story is this absolutely chilling journey into the depths of the human mind, and it all really starts with one single disturbing question. So picture this. A young woman suddenly starts barking like a dog. Is it a demon? I mean, that's where our minds go, right? The supernatural. Or is it something way more complex, something happening deep inside her own mind? The timeline of Annaliese's life is just harrowing. It all starts when she's 16 with what seems like a simple fainting spell. But by 1973, her behavior had just escalated dramatically. We're talking performing 600 knee bends a day until her ligaments tore, barking for days on end, eating spiders and coal. This all led to 67 separate exorcism rites, and in the end, she died from starvation and dehydration, weighing a mere 32 kilograms. Now, what's so wild is how specific these so-called demons were. The priests claimed she was possessed by 6 distinct entities. You've got Lucifer, obviously, but also the Roman Emperor Nero, Adolf Hitler, and even a disgraced priest from the 16th century. See the pattern? Every single one is a figure of ultimate evil, tyranny, or religious betrayal. Basically, the exact kind of figures a deeply devout young woman would be taught to fear the most. And this brings us right back to the central question. Was Anneliese really in the grip of some supernatural force? Or can science offer a different and maybe even more unsettling explanation for who or what these demons actually were? To find an answer, we really need to step away from the horror movies for a minute and into the world of clinical psychology. Because in that world, the idea of multiple personalities, well, it's not a myth. It's a documented reality. First off, let's just get the terms right. You've probably heard it called multiple personality disorder, but the scientific community now uses a much more accurate name, dissociative identity disorder, or DID for short. And that's a subtle change, but it's a really important one. So what is DID exactly? Well, it's a condition where a person's identity is fragmented into different personality states. These fragments are called alters, and when the person switches between these alters, it often causes major gaps in their memory. And we're not just talking about 2 or 3 personalities. I mean, to really understand the scale of this, you have to look at the case of Kim Noble. She's a woman who has been documented with over 100 distinct alters living inside her mind. Let's just meet a few of them. You've got Patricia, who's the main host identity, the one who raises Kim's daughter. Then there's Judy, a teenager. There's even Ken, who is a man. And a young child alter named Haley. Each one has a different name, a different age, a different gender, a different personality. It's incredible. The result of all this is just profound disorientation. Since one alter doesn't remember what another one did, life just becomes a series of mysteries. Can you imagine finding your car parked somewhere you have no memory of driving to? Or having a pizza delivered that you don't remember ordering? Living like that just seems unimaginable. It really forces you to ask, why would a mind do this? Why would a single personality fracture into so many different pieces? The answer, well, it's both tragic and truly remarkable. This number right here, this is the key. Studies all across North America and Europe have found that about 90% of all diagnosed cases of DID are linked back to a history of severe, repetitive childhood abuse and trauma. Now, what's so crucial to understand is that dissociation isn't a sign that the brain is broken. It's an ingenious, if desperate, coping mechanism. It's like the mind's way of creating a shield. It splits off traumatic memories and feelings into a separate identity so that the main part of the person can survive something that's just unbearable. And there is a path to healing. Through psychotherapy, the goal is basically to do the opposite of what the mind did. Therapists work to help the person identify what triggers the personality switches. Then they help establish communication between the alters. And slowly, very carefully, they work towards reintegrating them into a more complete whole identity. Now, it's really important to know that DID is at the extreme end of a much wider spectrum. Milder forms of dissociation are actually really common, and a lot of us have experienced them without even realizing it. In fact, some studies suggest that as many as 3 out of every 4 people have had at least one dissociative episode in their lives. Ever been driving and you suddenly kind of snap back to reality and realize you don't remember the last couple of miles? Yep, that's a mild form of dissociation. So this spectrum ranges from that mild highway hypnosis to more moderate states like dissociative amnesia or a fugue state. That's where someone might lose their sense of who they are. Like the American Michael Boatwright, who woke up in a hotel only speaking Swedish. And then at the most severe end of that spectrum, that's where we find DID. Okay, so now that we have this scientific framework, let's go back to that tragic story of Anneliese Michel and re-examine her case. So here you can see the two competing realities of her story. On one hand, you have the supernatural explanation, possession by 6 historical demons. On the other hand, you have the medical diagnoses she actually received. Temporal lobe epilepsy, which is a brain disorder that can cause hallucinations, anorexia nervosa, and what doctors called a severe psychic disturbance, which they thought was made way worse by her hyper-religious upbringing. Because in the end, what killed Anneliese wasn't a demon. The official cause of death was starvation and dehydration. Her death was ruled preventable. And tragically, her parents and the 2 priests who performed the exorcisms were ultimately convicted of negligent homicide. And this is why understanding the science matters so much. The stigma, which is so often fueled by films that portray people with DID as violent killers, is just incredibly harmful. The reality is that people with DID are overwhelmingly victims of trauma, not violent predators. Their condition is a survival response, not a sign of evil. Ultimately, it's about normalizing mental health care. I mean, it's simple. If you have a problem with your heart, you go to a cardiologist. If you're struggling with your mind, you should be able to go to a therapist without any shame or stigma attached. And that leaves us with one final, kind of awe-inspiring thought. This story of dissociation isn't just about illness. It's a testament to the mind's incredible, unbelievable power to protect itself. I mean, if the mind can fracture its own identity just to survive something unbearable, what else is it truly capable of?